Hello, my dear friends. Let me begin with a truth many women carry quietly. Aging does not take away your beauty. What truly dims a woman's light is when she feels invisible or when she no longer feels at home in her own body. For women over 60, the earliest signs of decline are not the wrinkles in the mirror or the silver strands we call wisdom highlights. The real warning often comes from a quieter place, your circulation, especially in the delicate tissues of your pelvic region. Maybe you've noticed it yourself. A persistent dryness, a sense of tightness or tension, or friction that makes you wonder if something deep inside has simply shut down. Please know it's not in your head. Those are signals your blood vessels asking for help. And here's why that matters. When your circulation weakens, it doesn't just affect intimacy. Slowly it begins to drain your vitality, your comfort, even your confidence from the inside out. My name is Dr. Perriera. I'm a board-certified gynecologist with more than 30 years of experience caring for women just like you. Mothers, grandmothers, wives, widows, and women who have lived extraordinary lives. Over the years, I've seen one truth repeat itself. Healthy blood flow is the hidden foundation of comfort, confidence, and joy. Now here is the part that may surprise you. The answer is not always in a prescription tube or a complicated procedure. Often the solution is much simpler. In fact, 3 common foods, things you might walk past every week in the grocery store, have been shown to improve pelvic circulation, support natural lubrication, and restore the spark of vitality that so many women fear is gone forever. I know some of you may already feel discouraged. You've been told that menopause is the reason for everything, the dryness, the lack of sensitivity, the discomfort. But research from the Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic tells a different story. Menopause is only part of the picture. The bigger issue is circulation, and that is something we can work with naturally. That's why today I want to reveal these 3 science-backed foods, explain how they work, and give you a simple 7-day plan you can start this week. One of them is so effective that many women notice a difference in less than 7 days. Before we dive in, let me ask a small favor. If you're a woman over 60 who wants to feel more comfortable, more confident, and more alive in your own body, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. And if this message resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If you're unsure, type 0. Your feedback helps me create videos that truly serve you. So are you ready to begin? Let's start with the very first food, an ordinary root vegetable that works like nature's circulation supercharger. You'll discover why it matters so much in just a moment. Let's begin with a food most of us never think twice about: the humble beet. For years, I thought of beets as nothing more than a side dish you either loved or avoided. But over time, I began to notice something remarkable among my older patients. One woman I'll call Helen stands out. Helen was 69, a retired librarian. She lived a simple, quiet life, gardening in the mornings, reading in the afternoons. For years, she carried a private frustration, a persistent dryness and tightness that made her feel disconnected from her own body. She tried creams here and there, but the relief was always temporary. On her daughter's suggestion, Helen began adding roasted beets to her salads and sometimes drinking beet juice in the morning. Within weeks, she came into my office with a smile I hadn't seen in years. Dr. Perriera, she said, I don't know if it's the beets, but I feel different. Less dryness, more sensitivity, and that uncomfortable tightness is finally easing. I knew it wasn't a coincidence. Here's why beets are naturally rich in nitrates. Inside your body, nitrates are converted into nitric oxide, the single most important molecule for healthy circulation. Think of nitric oxide as a green traffic light for your blood vessels. It signals them to relax, to open wide, and to allow blood to move freely. Now imagine what happens without it. Over time, the vessels become stiff, like an old garden hose left in the sun. Instead of being flexible and smooth, they narrow and resist flow. And where does this show up most noticeably in women after 60? In the delicate tissues of the pelvic region. That's when many begin to feel sluggish arousal, muted sensation, or uncomfortable dryness. Beets help reverse that process. By boosting nitric oxide, they act like a natural pump primer, softening your vessels, energizing circulation, and ensuring your pelvic tissues receive the nourishment they need. And the beauty of it is in its simplicity. You don't need exotic powders or expensive supplements. A glass of beet juice in the morning, a small serving of roasted beets with dinner, or even shredded beets tossed into a salad is enough to make a difference. Now, some of you may wonder, can't I just rely on lubricants? Lubricants can help reduce friction. Yes, but they don't solve the root issue. They don't restore flexibility to your vessels. They don't bring back the body's natural rhythm. Beets, on the other hand, rebuild from the inside out. Helen isn't the only one. Over the years, I've seen many women rediscover comfort and vitality simply by adding beets into their diet. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Beets are just the beginning. They open the door by boosting nitric oxide. The next food I want to share doesn't just open blood vessels, it helps relax and soothe them, especially the tiny arteries that directly affect sensitivity and comfort. And the best part. It's a fruit you probably associate with summer picnics. Can you guess what it is? Let's explore it next. Now let's talk about a fruit you've probably enjoyed on a hot summer day without realizing how powerful it truly is: watermelon. For most of my life, I thought of watermelon as just a sweet summer treat. But when I began looking deeper into the science of circulation, I discovered that this fruit, especially the part we usually throw away, can be a quiet game changer for women over 60. Here's the secret. Watermelon contains an amino acid called citrulline, and citrulline is found in the highest amounts, not in the red, juicy part, but in the white rind, the part most people cut off and toss in the trash. Once citrulline enters your body, it's converted into arginine, which then helps your body produce nitric oxide, that same vital molecule we talked about with beets. Think of it this way. If beets are like turning on the main water supply in your home, watermelon is like smoothing out the small pipes so the water can flow easily into every room. It helps relax the tiny blood vessels, especially in your pelvic region, so they can carry oxygen-rich blood exactly where it's needed. Why is this so important after 60? Because as estrogen declines, those vessels naturally stiffen. Without enough relaxation, blood flow becomes restricted, leading to that dull tension or dryness many women describe not sharp pain, but an uncomfortable sense of resistance. What I call circulatory strain. Let me share a story. Susan, one of my patients in her late 60s, loved her morning smoothies. I suggested she blend not only the red flesh of the watermelon, but also the white rind. Within just 2 weeks, she came back to me with tears of relief. Dr. Perriera, she said, for the first time in years, I feel comfortable again. I don't dread intimacy anymore. And the best part, this wasn't a pill, a cream, or a procedure. It was simply the result of giving her body what it needed to restore its own balance. Science supports this too. According to research from the National Institutes of Health, citrulline has been shown to improve vascular relaxation and support blood flow. That's the clinical language for what my patients describe in everyday terms: less tension, more comfort, and the return of natural responsiveness. How can you add watermelon to your routine? It's simple. Blend it into a smoothie, dice it into a fruit salad, or just enjoy it fresh. The key is to include both the red and the white parts, since that's where citrulline lives. And you don't need large amounts. A few small servings each day can quietly make a difference over time. So now we have two powerful foods working together. Beets to boost nitric oxide and open up the bigger vessels. Watermelon to relax and soothe the smaller ones. Together, they create a strong foundation for pelvic comfort and vitality. But there's still one more piece missing. It isn't a fruit or a vegetable. It's something tiny, often overlooked, yet packed with three essential nutrients your tissues depend on. And for many women, this overlooked food is the missing key that unlocks real change. Let's talk about it next. Now let's turn to the last piece of this puzzle, something so small it often gets scooped out and tossed away: pumpkin seeds. Most people don't realize how powerful these little seeds are. But inside them are three nutrients your body desperately needs for circulation and intimacy: magnesium, zinc, and arginine. Magnesium is like a gentle hand on a tight muscle. It relaxes the smooth muscle cells that line your blood vessels, allowing blood to flow freely. This relaxation also eases pelvic floor tension, reducing the spasms or tightness that can make intimacy uncomfortable. Zinc is another quiet hero. As hormones shift after menopause, zinc helps keep your body in balance. It supports your immune system, strengthens your bones, and plays an essential role in tissue responsiveness and natural lubrication. Without enough zinc, those tissues can feel unresponsive even when your mind and heart are ready. And then there's arginine, an amino acid your body uses to create nitric oxide. We've talked about nitric oxide throughout this conversation. Pumpkin seeds give your body the raw material to make more of it, which means stronger circulation and healthier tissues over time. Let me tell you about Carol, one of my patients in her early 70s. Carol had been a nurse her whole life, sharp, active, and deeply caring. Yet privately, she felt betrayed by her own body. Her desire was still alive, but every attempt at intimacy left her frustrated with tension and lack of sensation. "It's like the lights went out," she told me softly. Instead of another cream or prescription, I suggested something simple: a tablespoon of raw pumpkin seeds each day. She sprinkled them on her yogurt or ate them as a small snack. 3 weeks later, she returned to my office radiant. "Dr. Perriera," she said, "the tension is gone. I feel sensitive again. And most importantly, I feel like myself." That transformation didn't come from anything expensive. It came from nourishing her body with the minerals it had been missing. And this is the bigger lesson I want you to hear. True renewal doesn't come from quick fixes. It comes from consistency, feeding your body the right building blocks day after day. Pumpkin seeds may look small, but they carry extraordinary power when it comes to restoring circulation balance and confidence. So now we have three key foods. Beets to ignite nitric oxide and open the larger vessels. Watermelon to relax and soothe the smaller arteries. Pumpkin seeds to supply the minerals and amino acids that keep the whole system running. On their own, each food helps. But when you bring them together, something even more powerful happens. They begin to work in harmony, creating results that multiply. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how these three form what I call the circulation trifecta, and why this simple combination can feel life-changing for women who thought their spark was gone for good. When you look at each of these foods on their own, beets, watermelon, and pumpkin seeds, they each make a difference. But when you bring them together, something remarkable happens. I call it the circulation trifecta. Think of it like building a home. Beets are the foundation. They open the major vessels and get the flow started. Watermelon is the finishing work. It relaxes and smooths the smaller pipes that carry blood to the most delicate tissues. And pumpkin seeds are the support system, the wiring and plumbing that keep everything running, supplying minerals and nitric oxide to sustain healthy circulation. Together, they don't just add their benefits, they multiply them. I've seen women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, women who thought they were too far gone, restore comfort, sensitivity, and vitality by simply making these foods part of their daily rhythm. But here's the trap I want you to avoid. The number one mistake women make after 60 is relying only on quick fixes, lubricants, creams, or expensive supplements. These may mask symptoms for a short while, but they don't solve the underlying problem. They don't relax stiff vessels. They don't restore nitric oxide. They don't rebuild your body's natural ability to feel alive. Your body is not broken. It is simply waiting for the right nourishment. When you give it what it needs, it remembers how to respond. So let me give you a simple 7-day plan to start. Morning drink, a small glass of beet juice on an empty stomach. It will jumpstart nitric oxide and wake up your circulation. Mid-morning, blend a watermelon smoothie, include both the red flesh and the white rind. This gently relaxes your smaller vessels and supports comfort. Afternoon snack on a handful of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds. They quietly deliver magnesium, zinc, and arginine nutrients your tissues have been craving. Pair this with water throughout the day, light movement, like a short walk or stretching, and one moment each morning to remind yourself you are rebuilding. Consistency is what matters. These aren't overnight miracles. They are steady acts of care that build real change. And now let me speak to you heart to heart. If you've been feeling invisible, discouraged, or disconnected from your own body, I want you to remember this: you are not too old, and it is not too late. I have seen women who thought their light had dimmed forever return radiant, confident, and alive. The spark is still within you. It's waiting for you to fan it back into flame. Your blood vessels, your tissues, your confidence, they can come back to life. It starts with small daily choices, like the foods we've talked about today. This is not about turning back the clock. It's about moving forward with strength, knowledge, and intention. If today's message resonated with you, please subscribe, share this video with a friend, and let me know in the comments what one small step will you take this week for your health. Your story might be the encouragement another woman needs to begin her journey. And before we close, let me remind you, this video is for educational purposes only. It does not replace medical advice. Every woman's body is unique. If you are experiencing pain, significant changes, or have personal concerns, please consult with your healthcare provider. Your well-being deserves personalized care,